Manila awoke to a wave of headlines and breaking news footage. A Philippine supply boat, the May 4, was blasted by a powerful water cannon from a Chinese Coast Guard vessel, its decks awash in chaos. The boat's mission was simple, yet vital: deliver food, water, and essential supplies to Marines stationed on the rusting BRP Sierra Madre, a grounded warship at Second Thomas Shoal, hundreds of kilometers from the Philippine mainland. The Chinese ship's assault shattered the supply boat's windshield, drenching the crew and damaging equipment, but the Filipino sailors pressed on, refusing to be deterred. Each resupply run had become a dangerous gamble, with Chinese ships forming a floating blockade, weaving an ever-tightening net around the Philippine boats. For the Filipino sailors, it was a test of courage and resolve. For the world, a clear sign of China's determination to dominate these contested waters, no matter the cost. The confrontation was more than a maritime scuffle. It was a calculated act of coercion, a high-stakes game of brinkmanship played out on the open sea. China calls the shoal Renai Jiao, claiming it as its own, despite its distance from the Chinese mainland and its proximity to the Philippines. The BRP Sierra Madre, grounded in 1999, stands as Manila's symbol of sovereignty, a rusting sentinel in disputed waters. China's goal is clear: starve out the Marines, let the ship rot, and erase the last marker of Philippine presence from the shoal. Each water cannon blast sent a message: leave, or be forced out. The threat was unmistakable, and the pressure relentless. The incident galvanized public opinion, sparking outrage and pushing the government to take a firmer, more vocal stance. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. decided that quiet diplomacy was no longer enough. The time had come for a stronger response. The dramatic images became a rallying cry, fueling debate on how best to defend the nation's dignity and its rights in the West Philippine Sea. The line in the sand was drawn, not on a beach, but on the restless waves of the West Philippine Sea, where sovereignty and survival now collided. The world was watching, and the stakes had never been higher. Every move was scrutinized, every decision weighed. The Philippines faced a stark choice: yield to pressure, or stand firm in defense of its territory and its people. The answer, for now, was clear: the nation would not back down. The struggle for the West Philippine Sea had entered a new, more dangerous phase. One that would test the resolve of a nation and the attention of the world. For the Philippines, the sea is life, food, livelihood, and identity. It is the heartbeat of countless coastal communities, shaping daily routines and traditions passed down through generations. Millions depend on the West Philippine Sea's rich fishing grounds, relying on its bounty for sustenance and income. The catch from these waters fills local markets and feeds families across the nation. When foreign vessels block Filipino fishermen, they threaten entire communities. Livelihoods are lost, and the future of generations is put at risk. Beneath the waves lie untapped reserves of oil and gas, crucial for energy security. These resources could help power homes, industries, and drive national progress. China's aggressive patrols have made exploration nearly impossible, keeping potential wealth locked away. The promise of energy independence remains just out of reach. The sea is also a vital artery for global trade. Trillions in commerce pass through these waters every year, connecting the Philippines to the world. Any disruption could devastate the Philippine economy and the region. Jobs would vanish, and businesses would suffer, rippling far beyond the coastline. China's attempts to control the sea threaten not just the Philippines, but the principle of freedom of navigation worldwide. The world watches as these waters become a flashpoint for international tension. The West Philippine Sea is woven into the nation's history and pride. It is a symbol of resilience, hope, and the Filipino spirit. Losing it would be more than an economic blow. It would wound the nation's soul, erasing a vital part of its identity and heritage. This is why the dispute resonates so deeply with ordinary Filipinos. It is not just a political issue, but a personal one that touches every life. It's a fight for heritage, future, and the right to exist as a sovereign nation. The struggle is about dignity, justice, and hope for generations to come. The stakes are personal, national, and global. What happens here will echo far beyond these shores, shaping the destiny of a people and the world. For years, Manila tried quiet diplomacy, hoping to avoid provoking China. The 2016 arbitral ruling was set aside, and incidents were managed behind closed doors. But Chinese pressure only increased. Fishermen harassed, resupply missions blocked. The government realized silence was mistaken for consent. A new strategy emerged: transparency. Journalists were embedded on patrols, and every Chinese act of aggression was documented and broadcast. The world could now see the reality in the West Philippine Sea. President Marcos Jr. and his officials spoke out, citing the arbitral award and calling out China's violations. This shift risked angering Beijing, but the old approach had failed. Manila's new playbook: expose, shame, and rally international support. The dispute became a vivid, real-time drama. The Philippines could not match China's might, but it could win the battle for global opinion. Assertive transparency became its most powerful weapon. China's gray zone tactics dominate the South China Sea, asserting control without open war. Instead of warships, China deploys its Coast Guard and maritime militia, disguised as fishing boats but built for intimidation. Tactics include shadowing, dangerous maneuvers, water cannons, and even military-grade lasers. These actions are aggressive, but carefully calibrated to avoid triggering a military response. The goal: make it so risky for the Philippines to operate in its own waters that it gives up. For Filipino fishermen and sailors, every patrol is a potential confrontation. But instead of breaking Manila's will, China's relentless pressure has strengthened it. The world now sees these tactics for what they are: coercion, not cooperation. International condemnation has grown, and Manila has responded by deepening alliances and exposing China's actions. China's campaign has created the very resistance it hoped to crush. Outmatched at sea, the Philippines turned to international law and public opinion. The 2016 arbitral ruling, once downplayed, is now front and center in every diplomatic protest. Manila frames the dispute as a test of international law, not just territory. This lawfare approach has won support from the US, Japan, Australia, and the EU. The transparency campaign, journalists on patrols, videos of Chinese aggression has seized the narrative. The world sees small Philippine boats standing up to giants, and the story resonates. China's denials are drowned out by evidence. At home, lawmakers are drafting a Maritime Zones Act to anchor the arbitral victory in national law. The combination of law and limelight has put China on the defensive. The Philippines is turning international wins into domestic strength. The fight is as much about narrative as it is about territory. Years of neglect and underfunding left the Philippine military ill-equipped for maritime defense, with outdated ships and equipment unable to meet modern challenges. For decades, the focus had been on internal threats, insurgencies, and local conflicts, rather than preparing for external dangers at sea. Now, the government is racing to modernize its forces, acquiring new fighter jets, advanced frigates, patrol vessels, and state-of-the-art surveillance systems to strengthen maritime security. The goal isn't to match China ship for ship, but to raise the cost of any potential aggression and make the Philippines a harder target. Alliances are key. The US, Japan, Australia, and South Korea are providing not just hardware, but also vital training, intelligence, and strategic support. The US-Philippines Defense Pact has deepened, with regular joint patrols and expanded access to key military bases across the archipelago. Japan and Australia supply ships and conduct joint exercises. South Korea delivers modern frigates, all boosting the Philippines' naval capabilities. These partnerships send a clear message: an attack on the Philippines could trigger a wider, regional conflict, deterring would-be aggressors. Integrated deterrence, combining local upgrades with allied support and expertise, is now seen as Manila's best hope for defense. The military is transforming from a neglected force into a credible deterrent, ready to defend the nation's interests. The stakes are high. Sovereignty, security, and the very survival of the nation are on the line. The race to modernize is a race against time, as the region's security environment grows ever more complex and urgent. To modernize, the Philippines look to Israel for advanced defense tech. The centerpiece, the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, with Israeli radar and launch systems. The missile would give Manila a powerful coastal defense, deterring enemy warships. But the 2023 Middle East conflict forced Israel to prioritize its own military, freezing exports. The BrahMos deal stalled, exposing the risks of relying on global supply chains. Manila is searching for alternatives, but delays are costly. The setback is a reminder: global events can upend even the best-laid defense plans. The race to modernize is also a race against uncertainty. Not all Filipinos support the government's assertive stance. Some see it as patriotic, Others fear economic retaliation or war with China. Business leaders and citizens worry about lost exports and tourism. Former President Duterte criticizes the policy as reckless. Disinformation campaigns exploit these divisions, flooding social media with pro-China and anti-US narratives. The government faces a war of perception at home as well as at sea. The debate is about more than policy. It's about national identity and the price of sovereignty. The nation remains divided, struggling to balance pride with pragmatism. The West Philippine Sea dispute is about more than territory. It's a test of Philippine sovereignty. Every Chinese blockade is a challenge to the nation's right to exist on its own terms. The conflict is a defining moment, not just for the Philippines, but for the rules-based international order. If might makes right, smaller nations everywhere are at risk. The struggle has sparked patriotism, but also deep divisions at home. The fate of the BRP Sierra Madre is now a symbol of national resolve. The world is watching to see if law or force will prevail. The Philippines' fight is universal dignity, rights, and the courage to stand firm. The outcome will shape the region's future and the nation's soul. In these contested waters, the true line in the sand is drawn by conviction, not by force.